Yesterday, I rather foolishly um, walked out of my house to get something out the car. The whole pavement I couldn't see was just covered in black ice. I slipped right over and just smashed my ribs down onto the floor. Now I can barely walk. So I thought, when life gives you lemons, let's make lemonade. And I'm going to make this video helping you know what to do if A, your butler gets sick, or B, you are a butler and you're sick, and what you're going to do. The steps you're going to need to take will be pretty similar. So I'm quite lucky. I'm a director of a company. I've got guys working for me that can cover whatever needs to be done. But if I was working in a private house right now, the jobs are going to immediately start to pile up. And what am I going to do? The first thing and most important thing is to have a contingency plan. As an employer or as a butler, you can't just always assume that you're going to be well. Because as we've just seen with me, getting sick is not something that happens gradually necessarily. It could easily be that someone slips or falls or anything else could happen to them. So you need to have a plan in place beforehand. People are entitled by law and deserve time to properly recuperate when they're unwell. To be honest, myself and most other butlers I know, one thing we're terrible at is not taking time to recuperate, because we're so passionate about our jobs, we want to get straight back into it before we're actually ready. So it's important to take time to heal properly. Otherwise, all you're going to end up is sick straight away again, whether that's through an injury or whether it's through some sort of illness. One of the reasons that I set up Ross A Bespoke Butlers was to provide sick cover for butlers, because I know how difficult it is to find someone to fill in for a non-specified amount of time. You need someone who's highly trained so they can step into this unusual environment and take over for you in your duties. And you don't know how long they're going to be there for, because obviously, like I say, you don't know how long it's going to take for someone to recuperate. So having that kind of company, not necessarily mine, it's not an advert, any company on speed dial so you can get cover for this situation is a very good idea. But more than that, make sure that things like your SOPs are up to date. I speak about SOPs a lot on videos, your standard operating procedures, your house Bible, as we used to call them. Basically, all the things, all the suppliers, all the things that need to be done in the house, all the things that the principal likes, make sure you've got those written down and written in a way that other people can understand them. Because I think all of us, we tend to put things together in a way that we understand them. But that doesn't necessarily mean they're obvious for someone else. Try and look at that folder or that computer system in a way that anyone could look at and anyone could understand. Make sure it's well indexed, make sure it's well organized, and just simple to use with all the relevant information at hand. Being a butler is not about making yourself irreplaceable because you make the thing so oblique that no one else can do it. It's making yourself irreplaceable just because you're so good at the job. So don't try and make it harder for anyone else to replace you. My advice to the employer is, of course, very similar. First, make sure you allow your butler enough time to put all of these things together. Butlers' jobs are very hard. They tend to be very frantic. You give them lots of different tasks to do, but make sure they've got adequate in days to put all these SOPs together. Because what I find is, because they're not necessarily considered an urgent thing to do, but they do take a long time, they're continuously being moved to the back of the pile. And what happens to things which are continuously moved to the back of the pile? Well, they never ever get to the front, do they? So they never ever get done. So make sure you allow your butler plenty of time for writing SOPs, for writing contingency plans, for if he or she gets sick and can't perform their duties. It's in your interest more than it is theirs. Secondly, when something does happen to them, make sure you allow plenty of time for them to get well. Don't pressurize them to come back to work before they're ready, for two good reasons. One is you're going to lose that trust that you have with them, because if they feel like you really don't care about their well-being, next time they see a job advertised, they're going to be applying for it, and then you're starting again from scratch, training up the next butler, and no one wants to be in that situation. And from an even more practical point of view, if someone comes back to work before they're fully healed, before they're fully recovered, then there's a very good chance that their recovery is not going to be complete and they're going to be off again with some sort of more chronic problem. So allow time for healing and allow time for making these kind of plans. So as you can imagine, keeping this video pretty short today and pretty boring. I know I'm just sat in a chair, but hopefully I'll be recovered in a few days and I can make some more exciting videos for you. So I look forward to seeing you then. Keep well. Bye-bye.